Hey everybody, welcome back to Survival Heights, my 1.16 amplified hardcore series. And since the last episode, guys, I have done just a little bit of work. As you can tell on my hotbar, I've been mining for some ancient debris, and we've got ourselves a little bit of netherite. Actually, I used one netherite ingot already on this pickaxe just so that it was a lot easier to get some more, because I actually got netherite using my pickaxe. Instead of using TNT or beds, I decided to use a pickaxe. To me, it felt easier. So as you can see, we've got enough netherite ingots now for quite a few things. And so I wanted to start off today's episode by making some netherite armor. And for those of you guys who don't know how to basically make anything with netherite, it's all about the diamonds, all about those diamond tools, those diamond armor that you already have, putting them in a smithing table, and then you can get whatever it is you need. So first thing I want to do is the chest plate, of course. Got ourselves a netherite chest plate. I want to go ahead and go with the helmet as well. We're actually going to do all of the armor today. Let's do that, and let's do that. This still needs unbreaking on it, but that's okay. It will get unbreaking on it at some point probably. They all need mending really. And I think, there we go. Full netherite armor. I will say, guys, let me know down in the comment section below what you think of netherite armor. I'm not a fan, to be honest, of how it looks. I think it's really, really bulky, and the color itself isn't all that great, but it is the strongest armor in the game, and if we're playing hardcore, I want to make sure that I have the strongest armor in the game. I've also got, let's see, I'm going to make a netherite hoe, that way we can get the advancement for that. Which, by the way, this serious dedication advancement, if I go into advancements, used to be, it's down here. It used to be if you used up a whole diamond hoe, you would get this advancement. Now they've changed it to all you have to do is have a netherite hoe, which I think is a lot worse. It's not, I don't like that. I wish that they had made a separate enchantment for that, but it is what it is. And then the last one, I was gonna, last one's either gonna do my shovel or we can do my looting three. You know what? We'll do the fortune pickaxe actually. We'll go ahead and do the fortune pickaxe. I think that'll be, yeah, that'll be a lot more useful for us, I think, than stuff like this. But ladies and gentlemen, we're on our way. We've got ourselves some netherite armor. We've got ourselves some netherite tools right there. And you guys know what that means. The sooner we get all this gear, the sooner we can go ahead and defeat the Ender Dragon. I actually have enough Ender Pearls, enough Eyes of Ender to go to it now, but there's still a few more things we need to do so that we are prepared for after the Ender Dragon fight when we get shulker boxes and elytra. And that is the goal of today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. The goal of today's episode is actually a mob farm. It's gonna go right up there. My plan is to put it above the ocean over here. It's gonna be a pretty general, pretty safe mob farm. It's a design I've used before. It's a very, very, very well-known design. It's just basically for spawning platforms and some water streams. And I think it's going to help us a lot in getting some XP, repairing our tools, and of course getting gunpowder and other things that we need in order to, you know, progress further in the world. It's going to be a little difficult with Amplified, but I'm prepared, guys. I'm prepared. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy today's episode. Let me know down in the comment section below, as always, what you guys think of today's episode, and feel free to leave me a like as well if you do end up enjoying the process throughout today's episode. But without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Let's build a mob farm. And I've got some, hopefully some surprises for that a little bit later on in today's episode. But I gotta build a mob farm first, so let's get to it. So I decided to make this mob farm as close to the center of the ocean area as I possibly could. Reason for that is as close to the center as I am, the further away from all the land masses around me I am, and obviously the further up in the air I go, the less chance there are of mob spawning on any land masses or down in the caves below the ocean. So I figured the very center would be a very nice place. And not to mention, while building this or while using it, if I needed to jump off for any reason, there's all kinds of water right beneath me, so I wouldn't have any sort of, I guess, I wouldn't die, basically. And I want to make sure, obviously, this is hardcore, so I really don't want to die. So right in the middle, I decided to pillar up all the way to Y200. Now the reason for Y200 was because I want to make sure that there was enough room above the area for a mob farm, as well as some other things that I plan on doing to this thing in the near future. Once I had pillared up from the ocean floor, I made a little platform around where I could stand, and that's where the killing platform was going to end up being, where the mobs drop down. I would eventually kill them for XP and their drops. Once I had done that, I realized I still needed my ladder. Obviously, there's no other way for us to get up to this mob farm currently. There's no elytra. I didn't want to put in any water elevators quite yet because it's a pretty long water elevator. And since we'll be getting elytra at some point in the near future, I didn't see much of a point of doing that quite yet. So I just decided a ladder would be best, and I went ahead and made it. Once that was all done and I had put in all the hoppers that I needed, I decided it was time to make the platform or the chute at which the mobs would drop down from the mob farm. Now, the chute itself, obviously it has half slabs on top of the hoppers, but the chute itself is, I believe, 22 blocks tall, plus the block that the half slab is on, so for a total of 23 blocks. So if you guys are looking in terms of making your own mob farm, that's about the height that I would recommend. And I decided to build up this chute with all kinds of varying different blocks, cobblestone, stone, and andesite to be particular, because I have future plans for this mob farm that might involve some texture variation, and so I want to make sure that we got that texture variation in from the get-go, so I wouldn't have to worry about it a little bit later. Once the chute was in place, I had to go out an additional 7 blocks in the 4 cardinal directions to make the water streams that would then take the mobs down into the middle hole where the mobs would eventually fall down. Obviously, I had to wall off all of these sides as well to make sure that the water didn't spill over on those sides. And those walls actually provided the foundation for our 4 spawning platforms. All right, you guys have probably seen this design many times. I've actually built it before myself. It's a very simple design. There's no redstone involved. There's only trapdoors and blocks. And it's a great starter mob farm to get XP and all kinds of different mob drops. But yeah, once the walls were in, I made the platforms, all the spawn different platforms. I made sure to put torches down as well, just in case any mobs were to spawn. And then I decided to do all of the walls. So all the walls went in around the spawning area for a 2-high gap for mobs to spawn in. That way, obviously, only skeletons, zombies, creepers, and I believe spiders are the ones that can spawn there. After that was done, it was time to put in the roof, which is just a bunch of half slabs on top, just to make sure that no mobs could spawn on top of that. Otherwise, you could use full blocks if you lit everything up, but half slabs makes things a lot easier. And then I placed trapdoors all around the edges of each of the 4 platforms, because the trapdoors will make mobs think that they actually can walk over that block, when in all actuality, they'll fall into the water stream and be collected in the middle for me to kill. Once all that was in place, it was time for this mob farm to go operational, and so I cleared out all the torches and exited stage left in order to, I guess, get the mob farm up and running. And I ended up testing it out as well, and we got quite a few mobs within a few minutes actually after getting down to the platform, so I knew it was working. I wanted to make sure it was actually working, which I thought it would, but it's always good to double check your work and make sure that what you did actually does work. And it works fairly well. I mean, it's not the best mob farm, it's not a highly efficient mob farm, but it's a good starter mob farm, and that's exactly what I was looking for with this build. So as you saw, it works pretty dang well. It's not perfect at all, but it works as well as I need it to work, and especially for an early game mob farm, that's exactly what I wanted. But as you can see, the texturing here looks pretty familiar, right? Stone, cobblestone, andesite, pretty familiar mixture. As you might be able to guess, the little extra project I had for today that we might be doing, and that is, I've actually already kind of talked about this a little bit on stream and whatnot, but the plan for this mob farm is to make it into a gigantic floating island. Now, I suppose it's not really going to matter because there aren't going to be a whole lot of people actually seeing this up here in the sky. It is really far up here, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're rarely up here, if ever. But my plan was to make this into a gigantic floating island such that when you when you fly by this area, whenever people come around here, you'll be able to see, at least from some of those places. Can I up my render distance a little bit? Just so we can see everything that's around us. Let it load in a little bit. It's going to be a little laggy, but if you look around us, you'll be able to see from that area, from this area, all the way over at the desert area over here. You'll be able to see this floating island in the middle here. So if you're flying by here, it should hopefully look pretty dang cool. So that's the plan. That is the plan for this. I'm going to go ahead. I don't have too much dirt, so this may take a little bit of time in order to actually get settled in. How do I do this again? Perfect. There we go. I have a little bit of dirt here. I've got 1 grass block to start spreading some grass. Got a little bit of this going on here. So I think we're going to have to end up doing something like that and that probably. I'm at least going to cover this entire top area with dirt just to get started, and then we'll see from there. But the floating island's going to be at least this big around, and some parts of it may end up jutting out just depending upon how I end up doing this floating island, but I'll get to that at some point. For now, I just need to start placing some dirt. So that's the remainder of the project for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and get to work placing some of this dirt, and hopefully I'll bring you guys back for a progress update or something like that in just a moment. Progress update number 1 is about to commence, ladies and gentlemen, and I wanted to let you know that I got a little more done than I thought I would. So when I turn around, and when you guys see what I've done, don't freak out, it's okay. I kind of sort of planned this. Yeah, the entire floating island's basically in. I decided to just go with it, just to see what I could do. I didn't really plan anything out, and I decided to just roll with it and see what kind of floating island we could get. And I think it's turned out okay. As you can see, I've sort of tried to meld it in with the mob farm right here. There is a lot of hollowness on the inside, which I did decide to light up. Obviously, there's no real like variations of slabs or stairs quite yet. Those are going to take a little more time to do. So as time progresses, I'm going to have to do that. But if we sort of just jump down here, yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks very boxy right now, so I'm not a huge fan of that. It didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to that way. Obviously, we did kind of start off with a rectangular cubic shape, so it's not exactly surprising that it turned out this way, but I'm not the happiest with it. And this is where I think having things like stairs and slabs, and you can sort of see it over here where we need to sort of put things down in the middle. The middle needs to be a lot longer than the sides. And we kind of got it on this side, but a lot of the other sides we haven't. So that's definitely something I'm gonna have to be working on. But you can kind of see by my inventory, I have a few other materials. Along with that, we also have the undercarriage right there that needs to stay there so we can actually use the mob grinder. And because of that, I've decided that I'm gonna try something a little bit different, something I've never actually done before, but I think could look pretty cool with the new chains that are in 1.16. Oh, and by the way, this ladder is staying in here. I'm not really a big fan of it, but it kind of needs to stay here because we don't have any other way of getting up and down, and this is probably the easiest way of doing it until we get our elytra. So this is going to stay here for the foreseeable future. It looks kind of ugly, but we'll deal with it for now. I was thinking it might be cool to make this into a little bit of a cage hanging off of chains from this floating island here, and the reason for that is I didn't really know what else to do with this area, and I thought that could have a nice, cool little effect to it. The only problem is, I don't really know how to do this, so I was thinking we would hang the chains off the corners here maybe, and then roll from there, but I don't entirely know how this could or would work, and I think that's going to have to be too tall. I think all these on the sides are going to have to be too tall in order for this to actually work for me. I think I want to have some stairs on the sides here, so we're gonna have to make some stairs and see what we can do about that. Something like this for the sides I think could work out pretty well. I was gonna put some lanterns on the sides here, maybe even hang some lanterns from this whole island in general. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with the bottom here as well, because this is kind of just floating as like a platform right now, and I want it to be more of a like have a little bit of a shape to it. So we're gonna have to get below this and sort of shape it up a little bit once this is done. But I do think this is actually turning out about how I wanted it to, and that's a very, very good thing. We're adding in some stairs and some slab variants, and it's not the best, but I think it's been serving its purpose so far, and well, that's all I can really ask for. I know I'm probably putting way too many of these lanterns here than I should, but I think this is looking pretty good. Now, the question is, what is the view like from down below, and how do we get up to the top of this thing without a elytra? That's why this sort of ladder is still here, is because I don't really know how to get to the top of this island without that ladder right there. So we'll have to think of something else to do there. But if we sort of jump down here and I head over to that island, we'll grab it to my boat in just a second. We can go ahead and take a look at this and sort of see what's happening. How does it look? Also, yeah, there was a little bit of an accident with this thing before. You can see the chest behind me. There may or may not have been a creeper that blew up while I was building the island, but it's fine. You know, all this stuff's fine. Everything turned out great, so you guys, don't worry about it. I'm safe. I'm not dead. That's kind of the most important part about that anyways. So if we go over here, Yeah, that's not bad. I think the bottom is gonna need something about that's actually not bad. If we just had that, you know, that might actually be kind of what I'm going for. Believe it or not, because I'm looking for like a platform. I'm not looking for a floating island. I'm looking for a platform that's being held up by this floating island. Yeah, I kind of dig that. That's pretty cool. And I actually have some leaves on me as well that I want to throw into the mixture and see how those look in there. But guys, I think I'm actually going to play around a little bit more with this platform idea, see what else I can come up with, see how the leaves look as well, and hopefully when I bring you guys back, we will have another progress update, and I can tell you guys how the platform's coming along. This is probably going to be the final progress update for today's episode, and standing out here, I've been taking some screenshots so I can get a better look at things and for thumbnails and stuff like that. And I think you guys can probably tell what the problem is here. This whole area doesn't dive inwards. It sort of just goes straight across. Instead, it should dive inwards. And the same thing with the edges here. Although the edges up top, we can't really do much about because the mob farm is there and this thing kind of does hug it pretty tight. But apart from that, I think the general shape of it is fine. It's just some of the blocks, as you can see up towards the top, but I didn't know as much of what I was doing. The bottom parts here look a lot better than the top parts there. So it's a progress though, guys. It's a progress. We will certainly get to it. I'm a little scared of being up here, but I guess there is water down there, so I'm sure we'll be okay. But I went in, guys, as you can see down here, I added some leaves, and I think it actually does look a lot better with that. I added some chains down there as well with some lanterns hanging off of it, and I don't really think we need these lanterns here, so I'm going to take these out. I actually added some leaves, not lanterns. I added some leaves that go underneath of here as well, as you can kind of see, so it's sort of see-through through there as well. These might be, there's only one leaf that goes through there. I didn't really add anything else other than that, but I thought it made a lot more sense. If we're going to act like this is deteriorating, then there should be some leaves coming down the edges. So the world is that? I think that might be too much down there. I'll have to see what that's like. But yeah, I think this thing, at least the basic structure, a lot of the texturing and the platform that is holding it up is pretty much done. We're leaving this thing. Oh, I forgot to go to the top here. This whole ladder on the side here is going to stay for now since there's no other way for us to get to the top of the island. And I still have other things that I want to put up there. I've gotten suggestions about putting a tree up there. I've thought about putting a pond up here. So whenever you head up to the top of this floating island, it sort of has its own, I guess, ecosystem up here. Right now it's just a whole bunch, I just bone mealed it, so there's a whole bunch of grass and flowers and stuff here, so there really isn't anything interesting up here, but all the grass is in and it's prepped. It's ready to go for whenever we decide to work on it. So that'll be it at some point in the future. I don't know when exactly I'll be getting to working on a lot of this stuff, because obviously we have more pressing matters, like some things I'm going to talk, or one thing I'm going to talk about towards the very end of the episode in just a bit. And obviously the Ender Dragon and all that stuff is coming up hopefully fairly soon. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tear down this pillar, and I think it's time. I think it's time we wrap things up. I've got one more thing I want to talk to you guys about first though, before we head out. So let me take this down and then we can wrap things up. So I may have made a little tiny boo-boo. My pickaxe, it's now Silk Touch Efficiency 4. It used to have Unbreaking 3 and Mending on it. White. What happened to the Unbreaking and Mending? Well, you see here, there's a thing called a grindstone. And when you're looking at other things, I blame Janzi for this. His world tour is fantastic. If you guys don't know who Janzi is, maybe I'll put a link to his world tour of his world down below. It's actually a fantastic tour. I was watching his tour while doing things in the world, and I wasn't looking, and I was trying to, I got a different bow, which by the way, this is a power 4 bow now. I actually have a feather falling enchant as well. But I was trying to disenchant a bow because I had enchanted one with, I think, a level 1 enchant. So I went into here, and the bow is here, and my pickaxe was here. And I may or may not have just thrown the pickaxe into here. And just as I disenchanted it, I realized what I did. And obviously, you can't really go back on that. So we're without a Mending and Unbreaking pickaxe. The Unbreaking won't be too difficult to get. I can probably get it on a book and put it on here, and that would be super simple. The mending, on the other hand, is something that we're going to have to work on, and that's something I want to do in the next episode, ladies and gentlemen. We need a mending villager, and that's definitely something that's a top priority now, especially since I did the little boo-boo with the netherite pickaxe now. We definitely need a whole mending stash. So yeah, that's a thing we have to work on. I need to work on these cows at some point as well, because they're getting a little bit much. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's episode. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave me a comment down below. Feel free to throw this video a like. Push that like button if you really did enjoy. It would really mean a lot to me if you would do that, and helps out the channel a lot. Obviously, as many of you guys already know, you probably have that told to you from every single YouTuber you watch. So I'm sure you know what it means. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.